Hi and welcome to this very special live event here on MRTV. And I'm glad to say hello to Kevin Henderson, the COO of Pimax. How are you doing, Kevin?
It's good to see you again. I'm happy to be here.
So what is this show all about? Well, as the title of this live stream says it all, it is the Pimax 12K QLED unveiling. We're going to see an actual device for the very first time. This is a world premiere. You agreed to make this happen, right? You could have done this on your own on the Pimax channel or what, but you came here on the channel and you know that I'm asking the hard questions without holding back. So props for that, and really my respect for that, because this is not any kind of advertising event for your device. This is the community wanting to find out more about the device. Let me kind of like summarize it a bit, and if you can always jump in if you think I misunderstood something or whatever. So in October last year, I believe it was, there was an event, the Pimax Frontier event. And in that event, it was a live stream on the Pimax channel. You introduced the Pimax 12K QLED, which is your new flagship headset of a complete new platform of VR headsets that you are going to launch in the future. And this platform is called the Reality Series. In that show, you promised us the world. I must say it like this. It really felt like, are you kidding me? This Pimax 12K QLED, this new device, it honestly speaking, it sounded just too good to be true. Pimaxians, they don't take compromises. They don't need compromises because they get the very, very best, which is they don't have to choose between standalone or PC VR, because this headset can do both. It's like a standalone headset with a XR2 chipset, just like the Quest 2. But if you don't want the standalone mode, you can connect it to your computer, and then it's a PC VR headset. But you don't only need it like with a wire, you can also have it wireless with WiGig, right? So you simply get the best. Then in terms of the FOV, like we know that Pimax is a huge wide FOV company, right? So the FOV of the Pimax 8KX wasn't enough. Now you're even wider, right? Correct. Now it's like even wider and no distortions at all anymore. Then the lenses. You get the new lens type, which is, you call them bionic lenses. It's a combination of a spheric lens in the middle and then like Fresnel lens. And Fresnel, at the peripheral area. So you should get the best of both worlds. Then in terms of resolution, now you get 6K per eye. So you get this 12K air quotes resolution, and also for the panel, not only does it have like 12K, but also 200 hertz. And then what else? What did I forget? So
it's got Wi-Fi 6 integrated, which is another thing, and it's got a QLED panel, which is new. It's got a dimming backlight, which is new. Yeah. A battery operation, which is new.
Right.
It's got new speakers. It's got new audio processing on board, which is real cool. 3 USBs that are powered. 3 microphones and face tracking, eye tracking.
Face tracking, eye tracking. Also in the video, it was like a talk about full body tracking module, like different kinds of modules. And
that one I haven't seen the body tracking one. I got the face. And the new tracking technology is another thing.
Exactly. New tracking. It's not about
base stations.
Right. Base stations, inside out tracking. You have your own controllers.
Oh, we have the new joystick controller.
You have the new joystick controllers. Exactly. It's like inside out tracking. So all these kinds of things, like just like after the presentation, we just thought like, wow, it's like, wow, so much promise. It honestly speaking, it felt like, like over-promising. And I was wondering, don't you set up yourself for like disappointment?
Yeah, no, we actually struck things from the show because we felt like it was too much, We didn't even get into all the features that it has. So
even that we felt it was over the top. You even like didn't put anything. You didn't put everything into that. Okay,
and some of it we just simply saved to reveal later. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
So,
yeah. Anyways, with this introduction, I simply wanted to
what's
let
cool
you.
is when you get to see and test these things.
Right,
you know?
right.
What's fun is seeing the evolution. You know, I've been doing this at Pimax for almost 4 years now, and
I know.
seeing all these. You know, we have a lot of headsets, and seeing these evolve, where they get a new version and another new one, and it has more features, and that's been more true with the 12K than any other headset, because it has a lot of really new things, and
right, right.
It's quite impressive, you know, with the new lenses, something we hadn't had in a long time.
Right.
And,
we're going to get into
we're
going to get into all of this. We're going to get into all of this. So
yeah. So where do you want to start?
Yeah, right, right. With this little introduction, I just wanted to say, obviously, I'm a VR enthusiast, and as a VR enthusiast, I am excited. But I also want to say, on the other hand, there is this skepticism, because before, in the Pimax history, there have been these kind of lofty promises, and then Pimax didn't deliver, or delivered like way too late. So with this intro, I just wanted to, let you and let the community know that, well, I am excited about this, but I will still treat this with lots of skepticism. And that's also what I got from the questions from the community, just to set this show up right from the start, right? So that this is not any kind of advertisement event for the Pimax 12K QLED. This is really for the community to ask questions. And that's what I'm going to do.
Record, we didn't prepare for this at all. This is all completely, I don't have any question. Nobody sent me anything. I'm just here.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm going to do. that's what we all appreciate. So let's start this. And come on, I know that the community wants to see the headset, so show it now.
This is the 12K.
There it is. Cool. So it is real.
And you can see the new lenses.
Here it is, first time. Oh wow. Okay. Can you do this again? We are excited about the lenses. Like, when will I be able to go hands-on with the device? When can I really look through it?
I was thinking about inviting you here, you know, and maybe you can do it here.
So what can this device that is there in front of you, what can it do as compared to what you have promised in that Frontier event? So can you use that device
first of all,
already?
Let me give you a little qualifier. Mine does less than Martin's does. His is a newer one than mine, so he's got later revisions than I do. He's probably a month newer than mine is. So if I was to give you, what does it do right now? 6-DoF tracking based on the 4-camera system, the high-speed system. It has the new lenses. It's got the QLED displays. It's got the new backlight, which is dimming. It does wireless. So it has wireless. The wireless that works is the 60 gigahertz. The 6E we're still working on, and it doesn't work as good yet. This one has 128 gig, I think.
So the WiGig module works well already, and you can play Steam VR games using this device in front of you.
You can play Steam VR games well perfectly. You can play them cabled. Okay. And then when you're running WiGig, it works, but you can get some weird. Well, on mine, you can get some weird sort of glitchy. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. Every day you get a better version. You know, that's the cool thing about testing, is they say try this, and sometimes when they say try this, it doesn't work at all, and sometimes they say try this, and it's a big improvement. It's got fans. It's got these active cooling system. Mm-hmm. It has the dimming backlight. Right now, the backlight in the one I have doesn't. It only the full dimming capability is not in there yet. Martin's has some dimming capability. They have the QLEDs.
The final panel is already in this headset.
The final QLED panel. Yeah,
right.
I think it's either final or close to final. The audio is better than ever. It's got a slightly new version of the DMAS, and what's cool is it uses the XR2 to do the audio processing for the first time. We have onboard audio processing. The audio is night and day. It's really impressive. So There's no tweaking. You don't have to touch it. This one has a 6,000 mAh battery. Whether or not we can increase that to a higher value by the time it releases, we don't know.
It's a hot swappable battery, right?
Oh, and you'll get to see our base station.
Okay.
So basically, if you were to just think, people that talk about the 12K is like you were saying, like, man, this thing is so difficult or such a high bar to set. I don't know if I really agree with that. And the reason is, I mean, if you look at each, it's not that any individual feature is some ridiculously high bar.
How about what problems does Pimax 12K still have that have to be solved before the launch?
The Wi-Fi.
Okay.
The Wi-Fi 6 is the main thing. Getting the 60 gigahertz smooth is another thing. And one of the things we're evolving right now is what you can see in the standalone mode. And
exactly, that's super interesting.
Yeah. So when you move to standalone mode on these new headsets, it's a lower FOV and a lower refresh rate and lower resolution. So it reduces the amount of data that the XR2 has to deal with. Now, our XR2 is a lot higher clock than because we have active cooling. It runs much higher bandwidth than like a Quest. It's actually dramatically faster processing than existing XR2s.
Okay.
It's a high
and
clock.
in that moment, I must ask the question, how loud is the active cooling? Because I have some active cool headsets and I don't enjoy them because the fan is so loud.
Right. It's like a low hum right now. You can hear it. It's much quieter than the Focus 3.
Okay.
I have a Focus 3.
Yeah, me too.
And I'd say it's half the volume of that. When you're using on the standalone, it's much quieter than it is when you're connected to SteamVR PC.
Okay, Kevin, what are we looking at here?
Yeah.
What is that?
So you see the joystick controllers there. You see the 12K. You can see the WiGig adapter on it. You also see the battery assembly. I have a second prototype WiGig adapter laying there, and then the base station. And the base station is our new Pimax base station that you plug into the PC. Remember, 60 gigahertz is line of sight, so that has to be it has to be in line of sight with where your headset is. So you have the battery, the joystick controllers. One thing it shows is the joystick controllers are clear. You can see a clear, but in the final versions, it won't be like that. They'll be opaque. When we're testing, we don't use the special paint or the special covering. But and then on that one, like I say, it's got both 6E and the 60 gigahertz installed. But that just pops out. Then it has a magnet. You can see where it's connected by a magnet on the top.
So here, this part here, there's a magnet. Got a magnet here
inside the cable, right?
Okay, and here this is a USB-C connector, right?
Correct. No, that's actually a kind of a proprietary connector for the WiGig.
Right.
It uses the physical USB-C connector, but the actual protocol right now is different.
Yeah, let's talk about the battery. So
sure,
it's 6,000 milliampere hours. You mentioned it. And it's hot swappable. That's what I personally find is interesting. So does this mean that somewhere in the headset there is a secondary battery to make this happen, like some small battery, so that it won't?
Right. It works just like the sword controllers do. The sword controllers for the hot swapping.
Okay. Even if you would use it in a cable version, you would still need to have the battery inside the device?
In the version I have, yes.
How much time do you have to hot swap?
In the samples, you have about 30 seconds.
How heavy is the device with that battery?
This one is about the same weight as an 8KX. The base bundle that we've been talking about will come with the joysticks, battery, charger, headset. You'll get the DMAS, essentially the DMAS 2.0, which is the new DMAS. These are optically tracked controllers. So the headset is doing most of the tracking of the controllers. So they put out infrared LEDs in the controllers. As a result of that, they let the batteries in the controllers last a very long time.
So yeah, basically very similar to what we see with the Quest, because it's the same technology.
The batteries in these things can last. I have never even charged mine. I mean, let's put it that way. It's been a while.
Okay.
I charged it a month ago.
Right.
So
is it the same like with the Quest controllers that you put in batteries, or would you charge them? Because we don't see a port here on this picture.
Yeah, the battery, that whole side slide, it works just like the sword controller does, where the slides off and you put the battery in.
Okay, so here we see a bit more. Yeah, very familiar setup, right? So here,
joystick controller.
We see it here for the first time. That's cool. Exactly. Does it have any kind of capacitive touch, like the Oculus Touch has, or is there any kind of finger tracking?
That's to be determined. The sword controllers do have the electronics in them for that. Whether or not it'll make it into this, I don't know.
Tell us a bit more about this part here. What is it for? Is it just for some accessories or some kind of strap to make them connect to your hands?
Yeah, you can connect it to your wrist with that. You've got a little strap that goes on there. You can put your hands through the strap, or you can use that to connect it to your wrist.
So is this here the area?
That entire piece comes off.
Okay.
Correct.
So if you want lighthouse tracking, if you want to use your Valve Index controllers, you would have to purchase the Lighthouse module.
It's a faceplate.
Right.
And that whole faceplate comes off. So you can pull that off and put Lighthouse tracking in.
I'm just wondering, when you come out with this, will the Lighthouse module be ready?
I don't know. The team, I don't have one, but the team keeps telling me that it's laughably simple.
Would it be correct if I say that for the Pimax 12K, your priority will be the inside-out tracking, and this, what we see here right now?
Yes.
Of course, we are wondering about the tracking capability, because we have seen other devices with inside-out tracking other than Meta, and they did not track so well.
It's some of the best tracking I've seen for this kind of tracking.
What is the target product launch window? When you told us about the device last year, you said it would be Q4 2022. Are we still hot with Q4 2022? And when will people be able to pre-order this? Is there going to be some kind of pre-order mechanism, or how are you going to sell that?
Well, we have the trade-in program.
Whenever you spend any buck on any Pimax headset, it is going to be put against the price of the Pimax 12K QLED. Is that correct? Please confirm again.
Yeah, any headset. Any Pimax headset.
Yeah, okay, but what if I have
no other brands?
All right, okay, yeah, obviously, but there's no having to send it back. I don't have to physically still have that. I have already sold it. Let's say I've already sold my 8KX, but I still have.
No, you have to. It's a trade-in program.
Oh, okay, that's important to understand. You have to send the handset. Yeah, that makes sense. So you have to send the headset back to you. What if the device is broken? It's not working anymore.
Yeah, we check it. No, we check the device when we get it. It has to be a working device in reasonable condition, and you have to have a receipt.
What if I bought it secondhand from a friend? I didn't get it from Amazon. I didn't get it. I don't have the receipt. I just have the device. What to do?
You have to have bought it from. If you bought it from a friend, you would need to have bought it from eBay, where you have a receipt from somewhere we've heard of. We're not going to accept receipts from good buddy Bob, who writes a receipt for you and says it's $2,000 or something. We can't accept handwritten receipts or receipts from just between friends. It's got to be. I'll give you a little insight into the motivation, if that's of any use.
Yeah, of course.
Number one, we want to have things for Pimax customers that make it worthy of having a Pimax for moving into the future. That if you have one, we'll offer you something to move up to the next device. Number one. But number two is this is the key. This new line of devices we call the Reality Series has a standalone capability. And for the standalone capability to be worthy of developers to develop for, we got to get a good population of them out there. So if we released the 12K and didn't have a way to increase those numbers early on, it would make it a lot viable for developers to start developing. So this is also a means to get a nice software platform with a good population of software for people, and nice prospects for the developer community that's writing for this. So in Q4, when we release the 12K, we want to have, it needs to be sexy and good for the developer community, so they can sell their software and make money. So there has to be enough headsets out there to do that. So we have a lot of plans on how to do that and get the population high.
Okay. So how does the process of making this upgrade really work? So there will be this website, and let's say I want the 12K QLED, and I did buy an 8KX. Do I first have to pay the full price of the 12K QLED first?
Nope.
Okay, so how is it going to work out?
Mm-hmm. And so there will be no money involved when it gets to where we actually have a unit for you, and the unit is manufactured. Then we send you an email and you pay.
Okay.
And that's when the trade-in process happens.
Yeah, they want to know about who's going to pay for the shipping. Is it going to be like, okay, you will give them some kind of code, and then they just pop it onto the package and go to the post office, or they have to pay it first, the shipping?
It'll calculate the shipping when you go to the website to do the trade-in. The customer pays the shipping, and it'll figure that out when you do the cart, when you get the email. So here, however, there is good news when it comes to the shipping, and that is because we have depots this time, and we have regional depots.
Right.
We have depots. We have 2 in the United States. We got some in Europe. We have 1 in the UK. We got 1 in France. We got 1 in Poland. We got depots now. So you don't have to ship to China. You only have to ship locally to your region.
Next question is: are there going to be cheaper 12K units? Because you said like this is a whole new platform, right? It's the Pimax Reality platform, and
it's the Reality Series, the P3.
It's the Reality Series, exactly. So lots of people are actually excited about it.
So for example, we used to the 8KX and before, all the way to the 5K plus, is internally it's the P2 series. So they call them the P2. This is the P3. And so the P3 platform is going to have multiple headsets, and multiple headsets this year.
The 12K QLED, and well, the flagship means it's the most it's the most expensive one. So most probably that means cheaper versions of this are coming up. But
there will be more than one headset, and they'll have the features that they have will be commensurate, with the price. So you can imagine that that for the most part, the features will be some subset of the 12K.
Some people report that they have problems looking through Pimax lenses. They say, okay, they develop some eye strain after a while, and they feel there's a problem with the binocular overlap. And for some people, actually, it's impossible to use a Pimax headset. There's still a big difference between like putting on a Meta Quest or some other headset where they don't have any problems, but for Pimax headsets they say, okay, something is off with the optics.
Let's talk about that.
So did
that a little bit?
Okay, did you solve that problem with the
number
Pimax
one,
12Q?
The overlap. Well, there's multiple things about it. Number one, on a Pimax 8KX, the overlap is 86 degrees. For example, on most headsets, it's around high 80s, 90 degrees at the most is usually the overlap. This has 118 degrees overlap. It has a massive overlap compared to, that right there makes it very friendly on your eyes, and you can really tell. So that's number one. Number two, the Tobii eye tracking adjusts your IPD automatically. It actually analyzes it and you press the button on top, hold it down, and it'll set the IPD. So you have an IPD analysis when you put it on. So it doesn't have this manual dial like the 8KX has, where you move the dial around and try to find the sweet spot for you. It finds the sweet spot for you. And the cool thing is another person can put it on, hold down the button, and it'll adjust for them. It's real quick. So you have that. It has a wider range of IPDs that it can work with as well. So you have it can go smaller and bigger than the 8KX. So it's about 15% smaller and bigger on both ends. So you have a wider range of people that can use it. Goes down to 55, IPD of 55 on the small end. And me, I'm 58, and it works great for me. So I can get it real clear, and it does adjust automatically. The overlap, the very large overlap that it has makes it so natural, because it's almost, we're talking about an overlap that's like 35% wider than your average headset has.
This aspheric part and the Fresnel part, I got lots of questions asking, can you see that part going from aspheric to Fresnel? Is it like a visible frontier basically that you can see? How is it?
It's like looking for the Fresnel in the Pimax now. You can see it, but only if you really. I have a hard time seeing the bands when I'm looking. But is it impossible? No. Yeah. I mean, you can see it just like you can see Fresnel in any other headset.
Well, you proclaimed that distortions are gone. Would you stand by that? And would you stand by that for the largest FOV? Because that is, in my opinion, still a problem of the 8KX, for example. I do agree that it's way better, and that's what I said in my last video. Yep.
For me, the difference is the edges on this are so much they're further out into the so the further away from the center it is, the harder it is to even see, so it's difficult to even see the edges so far back. But so it's hard to say if what you're seeing is but if you just look forward and then you look one way or the other directly, try to look at the edge, it's hard to see the edge on this thing, even when you rotate your eyes and you look, one way or another. Okay. But that's where Tobii comes in, and Tobii, with their optimization for the lens and the dynamic distortion profile that they have, and we've been working one with them, in a partnership. That's what that's all about. So that whole partnership revolves around the lenses and the distortion profiles and that aspect of it. But again, it is it's wider, so those edges are not even in your view at all.
So I suppose this headset does not have eye relief, as in being able to put the lenses further away from your eyes if you wear glasses.
Mine does not, but that is something that we're going to add, I think, before it was released.
Oh, really? Wow, that would be big. So eye relief confirmed. Okay, that is such an important piece of information that it's so easy to change, because for the G2, because the first face gasket was not made for everyone. People were too far away from the lenses, and then they had problems with, sweet spot and stuff. So it's important to think about that all the faces are different, right? So that is a good thing. That is something that you think about. Sweet spot is no problem.
Sweet spot on this is not a problem. This has the biggest sweet spot of any headset ever made. Easy.
I like it. Okay. So. And how about the edge-to-edge clarity? If you use your eyes to look like to the left and the right, is it like everything is still clear, or is it degrading towards the edges? Probably it is, because Fresnel, normally you have these problems, right?
Like I was saying before, the edges are so far away.
Yeah. Okay.
That they're so far in the they're further than they are on the 8K. You know, so they're significantly distant. Okay. But that said, you know, we're working with Toby on edge-to-edge clarity, and it's got an improved lens design. We've been improving for 5 years the distortion profiles and gotten good at it. Now we have better hardware to work with on both the lenses, on the data we get from the eye tracking. Every headset that we make with on the 12K has eye tracking and real-time distortion correction based on that. So that's something we didn't have with the 8KX. We had to make generic profiles. Now we don't. They're dynamic profiles.
Okay, so dynamic distortion correction based on eye tracking, confirmed.
Right.
Will the panels support high dynamic range?
It does. It uses an algorithm to calculate HDR. It's an algorithm that we've been partner on.
Okay, cool.
So you enable that in the driver.
Okay, so with that resolution, what kind of hertz will you get? It's not going to be 200, I guess.
Correct. So at the widest field of view with the highest resolution, it's not 200 hertz, and it probably
How much is it? What I care about would be like the high resolution with a good FOV at 90 hertz at least. Is that something that you can achieve? Like getting close to the native resolution and.
Yeah, it is full.
Okay, good.
And that's all you can do. Yeah, no, that's all fine.
Okay. Of course, now we want to know, wow, this crazy resolution in our standard right now, like 6K per eye, and you're trying to get more and more hertz through the cable. What kind of cable is it? What kind of connection do you need on the GPU? Is it something like DisplayPort 2.0? Is it two DisplayPorts 1.4?
This sample uses DisplayPort 1.4s.
Okay, so what do you think? Will the final one have? That's what interests us.
I'm told that we do, we do have some single cable solution versions. That's the actual interface is something that's evolving.
How about motion reprojection? Is it something that's going to be there on day one?
Yes.
How good does the picture look like? You know, like in my opinion right now, the king of clarity is the Vario Aero. Super nice visuals. You've probably also looked through it. And
love what they've done.
Really impressive. Really impressive headset. Yeah, me too. So how would you compare the clarity of the Pimax 12K QLED to that of the Aero?
I would say it's on par with that.
Can you tell us the difference between foveated transport and foveated rendering?
Foveated transport reduces the actual data that is sent. So it's a way of reducing data across the cable or across wireless, and it makes it now. And DFR changes the rendering profile.
What would be the difference between foveated transport? Is it comparable to display stream compression? Why is the foveation important?
That's another technique. You have DSC, you have foveated transport, you have DFR, which is spotlight, and you have actually numerous other techniques too. And then that's before you even get into the software side on your PC, and with the techniques. So
you have two modes of wireless. One is Wi-Fi 6E, right, and the other one is WiGig. Could you shortly explain to us when Wi-Fi is used and when WiGig is used?
Wi-Fi 6E is not sufficient to run a headset like this at the full resolution and the full FOV and the full refresh rates. You have to cut it down very significantly to run on 6E.
Okay.
And if you want to get anywhere near what the headset can do, you have to run WiGig.
Okay.
I would mention that we actually have two adapters in testing. One of those is actually not a WiGig. One of them is, and one of them is a wireless HD. And which one will actually release, or release both, unknown.
So for the Wi-Fi 6E for the kind of streaming, are you building your own streaming software, or are you working together with Virtual Desktop, Gigodin, or how is it? How do you work on that?
We're building that.
Okay.
We're building that. We have our own apps, some of our own apps for it, and we have third parties too. And we hope to have things like Virtual Desktop and all kinds of things like that.
Right, right. Are you already in touch with Gigodin from Virtual Desktop? We want.
That's a good question. Not me personally, but I don't know. I don't know everyone who's. I know that we have hundreds of developers that we are in contact with. I don't know if he's one of them.
He should be a priority, in my opinion, and the community for sure. Also, things like that. What kind of software is going to be used? Is it going to be the same PyTools software, or is it going to be the Pimax experience that I recently tried out and that I actually liked?
Our intention is to develop. We have been developing new software. You're going to see the new Pimax software even for the old headsets. It has the PC VR store too in it.
Okay.
So it has two. It has both. Right.
So that means that you will get into competition with Steam. You will have your whole platform for PC VR as well.
Right. What's going to happen is in the next little bit, emails will start going out to people for testing of the new software. So yeah, that's what's going to happen.
And in the standalone mode, how easy is it going to be for developers to port their Quest 2 games to that new headset? I'm sure that this will be like very important, right?
That's a key element. We've been making it as easy as possible. We've actually a key focus was to make it as simple and as seamless as possible to release things intended for Quest, intended for other platforms that are standalone for Pimax. And to make this possible. And the team has been a big focus of them is to get it to where it's a painless process.
So in the standalone mode, what kind of refresh rate are we getting, and what kind of resolution, and what kind of FOV? Like I turned it on for the first time in standalone mode. What do I see?
Well, it has a set of menus where you can launch things from. It's a launcher essentially. And you can change the settings, and you have a launcher, and then the launcher will install. It's a kind of Quest-ish launcher. And you can purchase things from in there, and there's a lot of free stuff. And you can do firmware updates and things like that from in the menus when you boot it up, and then you can use the controllers, you can launch directly. So right now you manually control the FOV and the refresh rate and those things inside the settings menu. And but in the future we'll probably have it where the apps can define that based on how complex the app is. So if you play something complex, it'll automatically set the appropriate FOV and refresh and all of those settings.
Yeah, but what are you targeting?
To answer your question is, what is it? And my answer is, it's different based on what you run. So when you run something really simple, you can go wider.
Yeah.
And the more complex it is, the smaller you have to make it, and the lower the refresh you have to make it, the lower resolution you have to make it. So
yeah, let's talk about. Let's say
for simple things, for a Beat Saber sort of thing. For example, that kind of thing, you can run it at like 150 degrees at 90 hertz. Yeah, and the resolution is it's 2.5K per eye or 4K per eye.
Is the Pimax computer thing still something that you want to do?
Yeah, that's what the wireless adapter can also have the graphics processing capability in it.
Wait. And this thing here, the Dyson thing, this is actually the computer?
There's a version. One of the versions we're working on of that is that. Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow. That is news. That is actually that is a new piece of information. So is actually this what I'm showing right now? This thing is the Pimax box.
It's both, but we'll probably sell it at first.
That is cool.
Just with just the wireless capability, because it's different electronics that go in it for the different versions. So
we do have some feedback now from the German stream, and the German stream doesn't believe it. The thing is, that box, what can it do? Like the question is, what is it able to do? So you don't need a computer anymore to run PC VR games. This is a PC. This is a PC basically inside that will play PC VR games, or what is it?
Think Steam Deck. It's roughly the power of a Steam Deck. If you're asking, do we include a 3090 in the as part of this thing? No.
Yeah, right.
But it's going to have decent processing power in it that will allow gaming capability with no PC above and beyond what you can do with the capabilities in the headset on the standalone mode. You'll be able to do essentially the same things, but with higher refresh rates, higher field of view, and so on.
Okay, so this is not about playing Steam VR games. So this is about playing your mobile games, but streaming them from this device. Give us a ballpark number in terms of how expensive this could be.
No, but
hundreds or
it's yeah. I mean, it'll be in a like a console type price.
Console price is like $400.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. Computer version of it will be after the headset's released.
How about hand tracking? Is it supported?
Hand tracking is supported, and the hand tracking that they're working on uses the cameras in the headset.
Okay, that's perfect. That's better. So you don't need to add some additional module.
Right.
Okay, so the body tracking thing is real. It's going to be a thing.
Right. Yeah, it's a partner company similar to Tobii and similar to Qualcomm and some of our other partners.
Right. But
it's something that's already.
What would it support? Would it be compatible with VR chat out of the box, for example? That's probably something that people will want to use it for.
Yeah, you need a certain level of functionality with it when you release it. Let's put it that way. And
yeah,
that would be
so you don't have that right now.
That would be my first wish to see it operating in.
Is Lighthouse-Faceplate available on day one? Is that something that's
I hope it's available on or around day one. Our intention is to get it out right around that time. They definitely don't want that to have a high price, so it's going to be low. All right, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and let's do it again.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, I'm really happy about this show. That was a really cool show. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Bye-bye.